them how to deliver this. So we have training over 1,000 students. Training sites for 3 high schools and 6 community-based organizations, including churches. Actually, faith-based organizations were also a part of this. Now, the dissertation research study, which took place under the guidance and supervision of 3 doctors, 2 PhDs, and 2 EDDs, 3 research questions were constructed that focus on the needs of the business, the outcome. In other words, you're out of school now. How are you going to live beyond school? How are you going to make use of the education that you've received? How are you going to use that 10-step problem that you were taught in school? Now, you know how to do the problem. Now, let's teach you where it's being used, how it's being used, so that your education makes sense to you.
Yeah.
Okay? The school has already done what they do, but the reason that the education is not appreciated, the student doesn't know how to use it.
Right.
And so that's where School of Success come in. School of Success basically teach and evaluate what exists and make sense out of it. Put it into, for example, if you put certain things together, a certain product come out. If you mix lemon juice, lemonade, and sugar and put it together, you have lemonade, right? If you mix some other things together and if you add a little strawberry flavor, now you have strawberry lemonade. Okay? So what we are saying is that we want to help the students identify how these things look in these different environments. The research the research study had 26 8th grade students and 20 parents. Next. The research instruments were the School of Success 7-question assessment instrument. The COIN is College Occupational Information Network assessment. 10-item questionnaire for students and 10-item questionnaire for parents. There were 3 observers. You remember when the saying goes like this: when a person is looking at something he's built, any frog can brag on his own pond. And the frog that does not brag on his own pond is probably a frog that doesn't have too much sense. But at the same time, since a frog is going to brag on his own pond, how are we going to validate what that frog has done? Well, let's get some other people. You know, my committee, we tossed this thing around, and so we added the 8th grade teacher. Well, come in and let's look along with the researcher. I'm the researcher, so now there's the 8th grade teacher watching this thing. There's the development director watching this thing. Now I'm outnumbered. I'm outnumbered on this project now because there's only just me and the other 2. The 3 research questions were: would participation in the School Success Program help students to form clear goals for their future careers? Very pinpoint. Yes or no, and how? Secondly, would participation in the program help students to become more motivated to learn? Thirdly, would participation in the program help students become more aware of the connection between school and their career choices? Now, those 3 questions make sense? Is that right? Okay, next. Few studies have investigated this, especially at the middle school level. Now, I need to share this with you. I started this at the high school level because that's where my concern was. And the research study took me back to middle school. The research said these people have to have time to prepare. It's like the senior asked one day, what are you going to do next year? Well, I want to be a doctor. Okay. Have you taken any chemistry or biology? No. Now, that doesn't mean that it's too late for the student. It simply means that this student now could have done this had she known this earlier, could have taken some courses earlier in class. Chemistry while they're in high school. I have research that tells them what courses they need to be taken based upon what they think they want to do. Okay? The next thing. The results of the study basically validates the fact that the program works. Go to the next slide, please. The School of Success model is a computer-based career development program with special emphasis on life purpose. Now, why is that? Well, number one, that's the mission that I have. Number two, it doesn't matter what one chooses to do, you need to know how to use a computer. I was walking out of my house one morning, and there comes what we call the garbage man. He drove up in his truck eating a sandwich. And he doesn't get out of the truck. I'm waiting for him to get out of the truck to pick the bags up, the cans up and put them on the truck. He doesn't get out of the truck. Instead, he's sitting there eating his sandwich, and the other hand went over and push a button. Truck, the can goes up, turns it over, puts it down. He hits another button. It picks up the next can, turn it over, put it down. And he hasn't gotten out of the truck. Now, even in the wintertime or summertime, it doesn't matter. He wears a short-sleeved shirt. Why? Because in the summertime, it's air conditioned. In the wintertime, it's central heating. So he makes 2 movements a day. He gets in the truck in the morning, doesn't get out until about 4 in the afternoon. Okay. Now, he's working hard. And we call him a garbage man. Okay. Now, the fancy word, sanitation engineer. Sanitation engineer. We call him a sanitation engineer now. So, the idea is here's a person driving this truck, and basically he needs some type of degree in advanced education to be able to do this. That whole truck is computerized. He's using a computer on this truck. So I submit to you that if you're using the computer to collect trash, you use a computer in everything. And every company now have their own software. They have their own software customized to meet their specific needs. So it's a part of every program. Now, what we did, as I mentioned earlier, we evaluated the program at a wide range of students of all backgrounds. And it works. And it shows that everybody needs it. But then at the same time, in the business world, there's such a thing as target marketing. So what we looked at and what came out of this is that out of this broad spectrum of people that we have serviced, who needs it the most? Who can benefit from it the most? Well, in my doctoral studies, the research clearly pointed through Erik Erikson's 8 Ages of Man document. Stage 5 said the caregiver's task, which are parents and guardians, etc., that the task is to help teenagers ages 12 to 18 develop independence from their parents and resolve confusion about sex roles and occupation. Occupation is what we're concerned with. The sex role, we specialize here. We don't worry about the sex role. We refer that to whoever deals with that. We're concerned with helping students and people to select and discover their right work. So that leads us to occupation. Next. The School of Success was built from the best of the foreign models. One, I designed a 4-question interest-based concept, and the questions were this: who am I? And I'm not talking about my name. I'm not talking about Moses McCutcheon. Much deeper than that. I'm talking about, and the next question is, why am I here? That's what the second question. Third, what work am I supposed to be doing? I just didn't show up just to be here. And lastly, and all these questions didn't come all at the same time, they came one at a time. The last one was, what is life really like in this world? In other words, you live here, how is it living here? After answering those questions, I was able to go forward with everything I needed to go forward with. Now, those answers didn't come easy. The next one was the AFLA, the American Seminar Leaders Goal Setting Model. They have a turnkey operation. I looked at it and I said, well, this is good. We need goals. That responds. I can take this thing and build it in such a way that it will respond to that first research question and get students to understand it. Okay. Thirdly, now how many of you have heard of school to work? Okay. Now, you know, when I ask the question, school to work, a lot of people have never heard of school to work, and that has a lot to do with marketing. It's not the people's fault. It has a lot to do with marketing. And school to career, California called it school to career. Lastly, Skill Identification Field by John Crystal. John Crystal